Hey guys, we're at NAMM 2016 at the PRS booth. You're watching GuitarMessenger.com, and we're hanging out with Brian from PRS. How's it going, man?
Doing all right. How about yourself?
So far, so good. Yeah, so we want to talk to you about the Archon that came out, I guess, how long it's been out? A couple of years now at this point.
Yeah, I think about 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm. I know it became a staple within the high gain community.
Mm-hmm.
If it's really, how would you describe the tone? Why did it become so popular, you think?
Well, the design of the amp, the idea was to create a high gain amp that really held together no matter how much you push the gain, how much you push the low end. What we have here is a 50-watt combo, obviously a smaller box,
mm-hmm.
but even running this into 212, a 412, the idea was to be able to hit it as hard as possible, but wanted the low end to stay tight and punchy without getting flubby or muddy, and wanting the note definition, the clarity of notes, even with big, dense chords,
mm-hmm.
to ring through. There's a lot involved in achieving that, but part of it is in multiple gain stages. There's 5 gain stages, so instead of hitting a few gain stages, 2 or 3 gain stages, really hard to get enough gain, gradually stepping the gain up, they were able to keep that low end tight, keep it together. The other, I think, big thing about this amp that was a surprise to a lot of people is that is the same amount of time and care was put into the clean channel. Mm-hmm. So where a lot of high gain amps are, they do that really well, leave a lot to be desired on the clean side. Mm-hmm. And I know a lot of players who have really loved this were guys who were bringing multiple amp rigs out. Like, here's my high gain rig, and then for clean I did this. So I think Mark Tremonti did that. He was somebody, instead of like doing 2 amps, he started bringing Archons out to be able to. He loved the clean sound as much as he loved the lead channel. I actually know I have some friends who take these out and tour these, even Nashville guys, country guys, who are using the clean sound almost like they'd use a twin mm-hmm. as a pedal platform, because you can get like tons of headroom, big, chimey, sparkly, clean sounds that take pedals really well too. So some of the cool features on it, 2 totally separate channels, so you have a different tone stack for each. Mm-hmm. So you can adjust your tone and EQ separately. There's even a separate bright switch for each side. Mm-hmm. There is no reverb on this, which again, most guys using a lot of gain aren't using reverb. But if you're mm-hmm. looking for effects, it does have an effects loop that's foot switchable. So if you wanted to have your amp back and not have a pedal board in front of you, but just have your channel switcher up in the front of the stage, mm-hmm. you could run a delay or reverb through the effects loop mm-hmm. and not have to run the pedals up to the front. You could just use your channel switcher and switch the loop on and off. There is a master presence control and also a master depth control. Really helps in the combo. In the smaller combo, when you're not turned up as loud. We've got it on now. I'll show you what it sounds with and without. So you've got the depth turned all the way down. And then turn it all the way up. So, even for a small single 12 combo, it really adds, some fullness and and I find using that really kind of depends on your guitar, depends on the size of the room. Sometimes if you're running a 412 cabinet, it might be a little much, but we've taken the 100-watt head, completely dimed it, dimed the gain, dimed the depth, dimed the bass through a 412 cabinet at the factory, and I mean, it'll knock you over. It's you stand in front of it, feels like somebody's punching you in the chest with all the low end, but it still holds together. It stays tight. So no matter how big you want to get with it, it'll take whatever you give it. Typically, with amps with that much gain, they really don't clean up typically well. But if I just roll the volume back, like. Get a nice airy clean sound, but with a lot of gain. Mm-hmm. So if you're somebody who really doesn't even want to use channel switching and mainly plays with gain, mm-hmm. but you want a usable clean sound just by rolling your volume back, it does that really well too.
Cool. You're talking about it really staying together on dense. Mm-hmm. How did the story? Can we get a little demo of that? Just play some dense stuff.
But a lot of dissonant, textures in there, but you can really hear every note. It's Brandon Chang, who was one of the principal designers of this, is a high gain player that, he really started this off as a project for an amp that he wished was on the market, and was designing it not really with the intention of becoming a model. It was like something he loved, and when he brought it in, he and Doug and Paul really kind of worked on tweaking it from what, so it really came from the love of a player who was looking for his perfect amp, and he just happened to be a very talented designer. I remember the first time I went into the factory and he had a prototype of this and plugged it in, and he was like, "Oh, check this amp out. It's a high gain thing that I'm working on." And I thought, "Oh, cool," but I don't really play. It's been so long, and as soon as I plugged it in, I was like, it was so easy to play and familiar. And I was like, "Oh, it's," made me want one. I was like, I don't really need this, but I really want one of those.
Yeah.
But
can we check out the clean channel a little bit?
Yeah, of course. You want to just hit the yeah, right. So. It's got
That's nice.
A lot of warmth,
Yeah.
but a lot of clarity still, in the... I think that's probably the biggest surprise to a lot of people.
Yeah.
It's when we use this amp for demos, when I take this around, or if somebody's playing it for the first time, I usually tell them basically start with all the knobs at 12 o'clock. Obviously, other than maybe the master volumes. But so you have an input volume for each channel, the EQ section for each channel, and then on the opposite side you'll have the master presence and depth, and then a master volume for each channel. But, setting everything at 12 o'clock except for the master volumes, it just sounds good. Any guitar you plug into it, but then you can be pretty drastic with the EQs, crank the mids up, scoop the mids out. It's very usable everywhere. Like even pushing the mids, it works really well. And rolling the gain back and pushing the mids, you can actually get some cool, more traditional kind of classic rock distortions. Scooping the mids and diamond, it's obviously designed for the modern high gain kind of sound, so it excels at that. But you can flip the bright switch on, crank the treble, and it's bright, but it's not harsh or bad bright. You can roll it out, and it's creamy and smooth and not dull. It's like it's really hard to make it sound bad. It's a very easy amp to just plug into and tweak around and find good sounds in it.
Very cool. Well, thanks so much for taking the time, and looking forward to checking this guy out.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. Thanks for watching. You're GuitarMessenger.com.